Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Conan the Barbarian, issue number 2. Also, what is the best book that I've read so far this week? Man, alright, let's get started on this. The Life and Death of Conan, Part 2, The Savage Border. Jason Aaron is the writer, Muhammad Asrar is the artist, Matthew Wilson is the colorist, VC's Travis Lanham is the letterer. Cover art by Isad Ribic. And there's a whole bunch of variant cover artists, which I'm actually totally okay with for once in a really long time. There could be as many variant cover artists on this as they choose, man, because it's deserved. Robert E. Howard is the creator of Conan, so the Pict, excuse me, which are a tribe of savages, what do you call it, much like Conan is, are hunting a panther because they're trying to sacrifice it because the Pict have not been doing very good lately. It's just mortality rate, natality rate, all that good stuff, just not doing very well. So they, as they're hunting this panther, they come across Conan, who comes out to kill them. 17 city dwellers have been killed by the Pict. And the Pict are, of course, savages, but they're a special kind of savage. They're willing to kill children and women in their beds. So, you know, that doesn't sit well with Conan, who's a Cimmerian, and he's a savage who has very different moral ethics. He doesn't believe in using a bow, of course. Spear, that's fine, because that's by your own strength that you're using it, but a bow... yeah, you're pulling back a string, but you know what I'm saying? He's not a fan of stuff like that. His commentary about, fight like a man. It's funny that this book came out around the same time as that Gillette commercial. That was fun. Excuse me. Yeah, this book, man, this is just such a solid issue. You get a really good understanding of who Conan is. You get a really good understanding of his principles, of his morals. He's a big effing guy who knows how to fight with a sword. Anybody knows that. Everybody knows that. But who is Conan? Welcome to issue number 2 of Conan the Barbarian 2019. This is fantastic. I'm going to do nothing but spoilers from this point on because I really do want to talk about this book. So go away if you haven't read the book yet. Go buy the damn book. The video will still be here. Come back. I'm happy to talk with you about it. Conan is out hunting these guys, and he's killed way more than 17 at this point, when all of a sudden the ghost snake appears. This is a legendary creature who comes in and itself kills, eats and kills humans in their sleep, in their own beds. It can eat a horse whole. That's how huge these things are. It turns out there's more than one. That's why I say things. I think they kind of gave hint to the idea that there was only one suspected to be in legend. Well, it turns out that's not the case. Either way, whether that was believed or not, it might have just been the way that I read it. Either way, there's a lot of these things. There's also a king of these snakes. You get to visit the first king that Conan has ever killed, and certainly not the last one. This is such a glorious book. Conan develops a special relationship of trust with these Picts. Mind you, he hates the Picts. The Picts hate him. They'd love nothing more than to butcher him if they were capable of it. And with enough numbers, they probably could. But the thing is, they fear the snakes more. They just hate Conan more. They refuse to share their wine with him as... the one Pict shaman says, listen, we're all going to kill you unless you help us out. So, I mean, realistically, the question is, how do you want to die? And he's actually a really cool, wise, honorable, noble shaman. He's actually more of a medicine man, even though he's called a shaman. The proper pronunciation is shaman, but it's not even a First Nations word. It's actually a Russian word, so who cares? Cultural appropriation at its finest. So, what do you call it? This guy's he's a really cool guy. And he's just like Conan. Please help us. You might find out that we have more in common than you'd like to admit. Conan does help out. Eventually they do share their wine. Now I want to remind you that these are all of them, everybody in this book, everybody in this world is conservative. Conservative isn't a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Nothing in particular is necessarily a bad thing. It's the extremes of certain ideals that are bad. So if you're a far left liberal and you despise the idea of conservatism, please understand that conservatism is talking about protecting their own, whoever is considered their own. And this is a really good example of conservatism, because anybody can be welcome in the tribe if you prove yourself, if you prove that you actually care about the tribe. That's the thing about it. If you're on a different team, you're entirely on a different team. You're in a different realm. You're in a different world. So I liked that this book really expresses that. It expresses how eventually these people took Conan in. Why do I even bring up the idea of conservatism? Because they're actually willing to share their women with Conan. This is probably the highest acceptance, because, you know, if you don't particularly consider the other as an equal to you, oh yeah, I'll hang out with you, I'll drink with you, I'll party with you, we'll, you know, work with you, hire you, be hired by you, whatever, but you ain't going to be talking to my daughter. You know what I'm saying? They are openly happy, pleased with Conan's presence here, and in the end, it's the shaman who talks about it, but it's everybody who shows it. They're more than happy, and they even ask Conan to stay. At one point, when Conan decides he's not going to stay, because mind you, Conan is himself a conservative. He likes the idea that he's been accepted, but he's not accepting of these people. The problem is that when he goes back to the civilized lands, and mind you, Conan himself is untamed, refuses to be tamed. It's one of the reasons why these other people like him so much, the city dwellers. They love him so much, but, you know, from a distance. Conan realizes, and it's not said so much as implied, that Conan was actually happier with the Pict. The last words of the shaman, the medicine man, was perfect. This is a story about belonging. I loved this book. This, I've said it before, here it comes again. This feels like a Conan novel, of which I've got several. Maybe one of these days we'll talk about them. Conan is an amazing character. And right here, man, Jason Aaron has got it down like nobody's business. Muhammad Asrar and team, you got to include Matthew Wilson in this. They tear this book up. The art is gorgeous. I want to show you what some of these ghost snakes look like, because it's really amazing. I'm not going to show you what the Ghost King looks like, because that's not for you. Unless you buy the book. But these things are huge, and Conan has to fight these things off. Like, just look at the inking in this. That's great. The shadow play and everything about this book, man. Every single thing, every single detail. It's absolutely amazing. My God, welcome home to Marvel, Conan. God, I hope you stay for a while. Anyway, ooh, can we get a Conan 6-inch figure? Because I will buy the F out of that. All right, Professor Bell, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.